Hey everybody, man, you know you're doing good when the great white stoke emerges from his winter slumber. No, it's good to have everything chimed in. I unsubscribed from Econ Recon a while back. I can't remember what the reason for it was. I think there was something like cyclical in his logic that I don't know. I just didn't care to see for a while. I'm always interested in economics, though. Always interested in what the dollar has going on. You wouldn't know it by how dirty this dashboard is. You would think I would spend $1 and have it cleaned off, right? So I've done a little research. Well, research meaning I spent probably about 30 minutes or so Googling it, doing a little reading from medical journals about conspiracy theory. And I was trying to come up with information to support my my theory on it being a medical condition of sorts. And this article served to do that within like the first third of it. It had a couple of things in it that I found interesting, and it went along with what I noticed on that September 11th Jesse Ventura episode, where, in case you haven't seen it, Governor Ventura, governor of the body Ventura, has this guest, and he mentions, well, steel doesn't fail until 700 degrees Fahrenheit, and jet fuel burning can only get to 600 degrees Fahrenheit, therefore the towers never should have fell. And then they show something along the lines of, okay, well, the structural engineer gets on there, he says, well, agreed that steel doesn't fall until, or doesn't like collapse and lose all integrity until 700, but as you get up to it, say the 600, it begins to bend. And he demonstrated this, and instead of acknowledging that and exploring it from a logical standpoint, the individual just went on to the next conspiracy point. It was almost like something weird happened in the show. Like it was strange, and I can't explain it without you seeing it for yourself. There was also on YouTube, once I watched that Terrence Howard podcast on Joe Rogan 2 weeks ago, and I watched some debunking videos. There's this Professor Dave Answer show, and a lot of his energy is put towards debating flat Earth. And he was on a team call podcast type thing, where you have multiple people, and the flat Earth pundit, I can't remember his name, and please forgive me, he would give a point, Dave would acknowledge and answer that point, and instead of the person agreeing and saying, okay, I see what you're saying there, it was that exact same shutdown effect, and then the person would take up the next conspiracy point. It wasn't chasing logic, it was chasing this conspiracy thing. So I began to wonder, there's more, there's got to be more to this. I was wondering, what else is there to this whole deal? And when I did some reading, and it's like National Institute of Health of Massachusetts or some bullshit. It's like a peer-reviewed medical journal. And when it talked about conspiracy, there were 3 things that I think further reinforce my proposition in this discussion. You have pattern recognition bias. You have alliance recognition bias, and you have agency recognition bias. So what all do we mean by that? Well, pattern recognition is a person is always looking for patterns and things that go together. Now, whether those patterns would make sense to a normal person who doesn't have that bias remains to be said, but I could give an example of pattern recognition bias would be, so the Jewish cabal and finance. So a person always hears Jewish sounding last names dealing with finance, so therefore you have this draw where you're following along those logics. Now, I'm not getting into right or wrong of any conspiracy right now. Please don't misunderstand. I'm just trying to further this conspiracy conversation. Alliance recognition. I wasn't really sure how to make of this. The paper goes on to explain it better, and I'm going to read further and figure out more about it. But I interpreted that as you're wanting to be part of a group. So, these flat Earth people, for example, are friendly and shit. Maybe Nazi skinheads are friendly. So you have like your group believes a certain thing. So you subscribe to what the alliance says, and therefore you have this bias. And then finally the agency recognition bias. And that has to do with a particular group, an agent, like, okay, well, this particular group of people always behaves a certain way, therefore I have this automatic thing that I plug into place. Say you're maybe like the CIA is always up to a bunch of bullshit, so therefore the CIA is always a bunch of bullshit, so therefore I see bullshit going on equals this bullshit is because of CIA. I don't know. To further my point, these things, according to the article, are instinctual in us. There were times in our evolution of a tribe where these biases helped us in survival. We could anticipate danger. We could anticipate problems and avoid them. Certain things in our instincts and in our nature could be argued have become obsolete in modern times. And maybe they haven't. Maybe they haven't. If you think that they haven't, please chime in. But education, in my understanding, give us the opportunity to override our instincts. Give us the opportunity to put us into the part of our mind that thinks about things, that just doesn't operate on instinct. And I think there's a point that could be healthy, because we're not always right. I think there's a point in the scientific method and scientific process where things are peer-reviewed and accredited. So long as it's done correctly, it keeps you from shit like, hey, the moon's made of cheese, and if you go up there, you could mine the cheese, bring it back, and be the cheese king of Chicago. You got to be willing to put your tests to independent peer reviews and have them last. The internet, being the Wild West and the free speech that it is, God love it, gives people the opportunity to be platformed without having to survive those peer reviews. So therefore everybody gets a megaphone, my man. All right, great conversation. Catch y'all later.